All right. So the first question is, who are you?
Levi Ryan.
For sure. Okay. So what do you do? What's your music?
Um, uh, yeah, I just produce and post music. That's about it.
What kind of music do you make?
Um, I think pinning down a genre is a little difficult. Um, I just pull inspiration from everything. I started out making trap, and then I think definitely Elijah's influence, and some of my other friends' influence, and I used to just try to make what I thought would get plays and what I thought other people would want to listen to and kind of what was trending. And um, I had a lot of music that was sitting on my computer that I never intended on posting. And Elijah used to tell me, he'd be like, why don't you post this shit? This shit's a lot cooler, a lot more interesting. I was just like, I don't think people would want to hear this. And then he was like, um, well, wouldn't you want to be as unique as possible instead of trying to sound like everyone else? So I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So um, I started just making whatever the fuck I want. So now when I sit down to make music, there's no, criteria. There's no target genre. It's just, whatever the fuck comes out. So
Interesting. So you were
Well,
making music. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just, I was just gonna say it's now it's just a lot of breakcore influence, a lot of shoegaze and kind of lo-fi, a lot of other shit, but those are kind of the main ones.
Cool. So you were saying you had a lot of stuff stored up. Like, were you making music before you came out as Levi Ryan, or what was that like?
Yeah, so I started making music in middle school with one of my friends named Kanan. I want to say like seventh grade. Um, we started a little band called Painting Walls Yellow, which is still up actually. You can go on SoundCloud, look up Painting Walls Yellow and find it. And we just made it was like I don't know indie rock, uh, shoegaze, indie rock kind of deal. And that's kind of where I got my start. I started out recording guitar and learned how to record vocals, and I started on FL. And then as I got into high school, I started listening to a lot of Bones, and I also really liked Odd Future when I was in middle school. I was that I was that fucking kid, always wearing Odd Future shit in middle school. So, um, but yeah, middle school or high school came around, and I started producing beats on my laptop just for fun. And then when we stopped making painting while Zello, I just decided, fuck it, I'm gonna start throwing vocals on some of these beats I got laying around. So,
Wow. So like, how much music have you made since you started making Levi Ryan type stuff?
shit, way too fucking much. I think painting while Zello, I'm trying to remember. I think it was like three or four EPs we did. They each had like three or four songs. So that's however many that would be. A couple songs there. Um, and then as far as when I started doing solo stuff, I'd say like half of my SoundCloud is like privated. I I shit. Honestly, like probably close to 300 songs on that SoundCloud like solo. I also have a project called Tar. I know only a handful of people have heard of that. That's one of me and Elijah's good friend. His name's Dung. Um, when I lived in San Marcos, we just for fun started making this little grunge project, which actually we are gonna bring that back. I just wiped the Spotify for that, um, and I want to do some more of that in the future, but I just gotta find time. I don't think we're not gonna do like a bunch of big rollouts or videos or nothing. I think we're just gonna make a project, drop it, and then kind of, move on, and then maybe do another project down the line. So,
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So let's talk about your name, Levi Ryan. Is that your actual name?
uh, Kind of, a little bit. My real middle name is Ryan, and when I was born, my dad wanted to name me Levi Garrett after the tobacco company, and my mom was like, "Hell the fuck no." So, um, uh, but when it came time to make my artist name, I just took that name that my dad wanted, and I took my middle name that my mom gave me, and just kind of smacked them together. So that's where that comes from.
Wow. So let's talk about your albums. Like, how do you come up with like your ideas for albums?
Um. So before Out of Spite, um, I guess if we're going all the way back to Painting Walls Yellow, a lot of that was just we just kind of sped it out, just whatever the fuck we thought of, we just threw it on a project. I think those are a lot of them are pretty sonically consistent within each little EP, just because of what we were feeling at that time. We would literally write like, if we were gonna do an EP, we'd like make the whole thing in like a week or two. Record in a week or two. Kenyon would come over and we'd just hang out all fucking night, all weekend, and just knock out a bunch of songs, drop an EP, and do it again. Actually, one of those EPs, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but one of those EPs, I had an old cassette recorder, like it was a straight up real cassette recorder from uh, late 80s, 90s. I don't know how old it was, but we snuck into there's a local library near my high school, and they have this like theater in the back where they do plays. It's this big concrete theater, and we just set the tape recorder down, and we just fucking went and just recorded like I think it was like 4 or 5 songs. So, and there was no post processing on that, no mixing. The whole thing is live. So that's actually still up if you want to listen to that. But as far as thematically, topically, it was just kind of all over the place. Same thing with my solo stuff up until um At a Spite. And Out of Spite was at a time where I had finally kind of found my stride, I guess. Because before, if for a lot of people that have been here, been listening to my music since before, like Valium, it was just like a fucking shotgun blast at the wall. I was just, shooting and seeing what fucking stuck. And then I kind of found my stride, and I was like, okay, I want to make like a real, definitive kind of debut. Even though I have like I don't know how many projects before that, I kind of consider that like my debut project. Um, and for the most part, it's pretty consistent. Just a lot of where I was at in my life at that time, and just kind of how I felt. I wasn't really in the best place, and so I was just really angry all the time. Um, and prior to making that album, I used to live in a trailer in Colorado, like an RV little trailer. Um, and so that was a little frustrating, that situation. And then just kind of coming in it really into adulthood and just trying to navigate that. And so a lot of my experiences are kind of in that album. And then Operation Wandering Soul was when I really was like, okay, I want to really challenge myself to make something that has a overarching theme, that has a lot of imagery involved, that has a lot of metaphors and allegory in it. And and the other thing is, I really wanted to challenge myself to not write about not only things that I would normally write songs about, but that most people would normally write songs about. Because if you just listen to music on a daily basis, you're gonna hear just a lot of love songs, breakup songs, songs about I don't know, fucking drugs, being cool, whatever the fuck. Um, and I really wanted to challenge myself to write about things that um people normally wouldn't talk about. So um, for anyone that doesn't know, Operation Wandering Soul was actually a military operation from the Vietnam War. It was conducted by the U.S. Against the Viet Cong, and what it was is they made what's called a ghost tape, and they had they brought Vietnamese speaking people into a studio, and they had them record these weird like haunting dialogue, because the Viet Cong believed that I don't know exactly how it goes or what the exact beliefs are, but it was something along the lines of they believed that these soldiers who died on the battlefield, if they weren't given a proper burial, they would just kind of linger on the battlefield and in those woods and kind of haunt it. And so um, the U.S. took advantage of that, and it was a psyops operation, and they would take that ghost tape and they put these these big loudspeakers on jeeps and helicopters, and they'd place them in the woods, and they'd blare this ghost tape through the woods, and just to scare the Vietnamese off. And so that was Operation Wandering Soul, and how that relates to the album is just the idea of using sound, and in my case, music, as a weapon and as a way to psychologically affect someone. Um, so and a lot of the topics on that are just kind of about like Gen X is about big pharmaceuticals and the effect that that's had on my generation, and Sig Sauer is about the psychology of mass shootings, and Binary Code is about uh, kind of the thought that life is, and the universe and all of our experiences are made up of ones and O's, and kind of every experience we have is dictated on whether it falls on a one or an O. Just a lot of weird out there shit. Um, and just using this kind of military lingo to kind of tie the whole thing together. Like 0 hour is, I'm sure a military term, uh, for when an operation starts, and there's a few more on there. I'm trying to remember exactly what they were. There's nuclear sub. But yeah, there's a bunch of the album really has nothing to do with war or the U.S. military. It's just I use it as just kind of a I guess a metaphor, or just a an allegory to kind of tie everything together. I don't know if that's the right word, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Wow. So it sounds like you put a lot of thought into the music that you make. How long does it take you to make your music?
Well, like I said, early on, we would just kind of spit it out. It was just kind of on the fly. Um, um, Out of Spite took not too long. It was only maybe a few months. And also I had a lot of help because that album had a lot of features. That was kind of, as since it was my debut project, I really wanted to get a lot of artists that I liked or friends of mine kind of on there, and also to kind of help promote it. And so, which was a thing that I was very opposed to. Also, Elijah was the one who really convinced me to get to work with other artists. The first of which was Chelsea Glowworm. So because I don't know, I'm really particular about my music, and I'm not great at working with other people. It's not that I don't like working with other people. It's just I'm not very good at it because I'm very particular about my music. And me and Chelsea were always on the same page. Like every song that I made with her was just fucking easy. It just came out. And that was a lot of Out of Spite. That one just came out very naturally. And like I said, I was I was very angry at that point in my life. So I had a lot of drive to make that album, and it just kind of came out. Um, Operation Wandering Soul, on the other hand, that took like 7-8 months to really make. And I would, when I started that, I was like, I can't take an 8 month break from making music and posting, and so I would work on the album and then take a little break and try to get a single out, take and then work on it again, and then so on. So
For sure. So, where does your musical inspiration come from? Especially like your lyrics and the type of vibe that you're trying to make with your music.
um for like where I am now, a lot of influence, definitely a lot of shoegaze. I would say if you would ask me what my favorite album of all time was, it would be Savlaki by Slowdive. Um and actually, if you go and you listen to my music, if you were to take not every song but a lot of songs if you were to take them and you were to strip the percussion off, whether it would, trap percussion on a song or breakcore percussion or, whatever the fuck's on there, if you strip the percussion off, a lot of it you'll start to hear that. Cause I say that, and people are always like, a lot of people hear my music and they'll guess like some fucking SoundCloud artist or some rapper or some electronic artist, and I'm like, I don't listen to a lot of that shit, and I definitely don't pull influence from that. Um, I really like when it comes to trap and breakcore and a lot of just electronic genres. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of those genres, but I love the percussion. Like a lot of rap songs and trap songs that my friends will show me, the song will start and then I'll hear the beat and I'll love it. I love the percussion because it just has it just it's what gives the song its movement. It's what gives it life. And then as soon as the vocals start, I'm like, wow, okay, I don't fucking like this at all. And that's the same with a lot of electronic genres as well, where it's just, the percussion is just strong, and then everything else is kind of just, there's not a lot of heart and soul in it. And so, I took a lot of the genres that I grew up listening to, like grunge and shoegaze, and also a lot of 80s music. Um, even now, like if you ever hang out with me, if you get in the car with me, more than likely what you're gonna be listening to is 80s shit, like The Police, The Cure, shit like that. Um, U2. Um, but yeah, a lot of that. My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive, a lot of shoegaze, a lot of grunge, a lot of also a lot of oh, I don't know if you'd call it emo. The term emo is like dicey because everyone has their own definition of emo. You got people that when you say emo, they think of like Rites of Spring and shit from the 80s, or they think of My Chemical Romance. When you say emo, to me, I think Teen Suicide, Elvis Presley. That to me is emo, but a lot of that as well. Um, so yeah, I take a lot of those genres that I really like. I'll write songs kind of in that style, and I'll add a four on the floor beat, breakcore beat, trap percussion, because like I said, I love that percussion, but not necessarily the rest of the aspects of those genres. So, but even like I mean, it doesn't even have to be those. I mean, I listen to literally fucking everything. I think it'd be easy to say that the genres that I don't like. And the only genre on the top of my head that I can think of that I don't really like is like dubstep. I can't stand dubstep. But like everything else, from country to rap to rock, to jazz, like Chet Baker, Billie Holiday, shit from the 40s. Literally fucking everything. Um, so, my influence doesn't just come from, you know, my favorite stuff. I could hear anything. I could hear a country song and maybe there's like a lap steel in it, or there's some chord progression that I really like, and I'll take that and make something out of it. Or maybe there's like some punk song where I like something that they do, and I'll kind of get inspired from that. So yeah, for just from everywhere really.
Wow. So, two follow up questions. The lyrics, if you could touch on the lyrics a little bit, and then like, do you sample any old school stuff in your music?
So I don't do a whole lot of sampling. I like to produce all of my stuff from scratch. Except for the percussion, I do sample a lot of percussion. Now, not all the time, but sometimes I will sample percussion. But that's really the extent of the sampling of my music. Or unless it's like a dialogue sample from like a movie or some clip or from something. Because I do a lot of that. But yeah, as far as sampling go, I don't do a whole lot of sampling. All the guitar is me playing guitar. All the synths are played off of MIDI. Um, and as far as lyrics go, um, well, like I said, like on Operation Winning, so I really tried to kind of push myself out of my comfort zone and just write about shit that isn't normally talked about. And I wanted to make it really interesting. I mean, there are a handful of songs on there. Specifically, the first one and the last one are more just about a relationship, but everything in between is just about society, and a lot of struggles with my generation. Now with Out of Spite, Um, like I said, I was I was really angry when I made that album. I wasn't I was just angry at life in general. I was, I had dropped out of college. I was living in an RV, and then I had moved into essentially it was low income housing really. And I lived in a shitty apartment in Austin. Um, and so yeah, just a lot of a lot of frustration with life as far as the lyrics go on out of spite. Um, and then I mean, I'm trying to think of some of my other songs that are even worth talking about lyrically. I mean, those are really the two projects where I really push myself lyrically. I mean, the rest of it, when I sit down to make music, my priority one is always the sound of my music. Lyrics are not typically my top priority. I like to write about things that are important to me, but when it comes to music, not only that I make, but also that I listen to, the sound of it is what's more important to me. And I like, because music is considered a universal language. So I like to communicate through, music and, chord progressions, guitar, percussion. That's how I like to communicate. So, lyrics aren't typically my top priority. So.
Cool. So while we're talking about how you make your music, like what kind of technical like equipment or other type of processes do you use to make your music?
So I use FL as far as my DAW goes. And then all of my synths, it's a Arturia Keylab is what I use for my MIDI. Um, as far as synths go, I do get a lot of questions when people ask me what synths I use. For a long time, it was Hive and also Analog Lab, and more specifically the CS80. The CS80 is like my dream synth to have. It was a synth from the um the late 70s and all through the 80s. A bunch of hit songs from the 70s and 80s were made with the CS80. But most specifically, Blade Runner, the Blade Runner soundtrack was made with the CS80. So that's kind of where you like Blade Runner.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Blade Runner is fucking awesome, and the soundtrack is great too. So that's kind of where you get like that 80s kind of sound in my music is a lot of the CS80. Um, as far as guitars go, I have 99% of the guitar you'll hear in my music is a Fender Jazzmaster that I have. Um, and that's ran through. I don't like recording direct in. I know a lot of producers now will record direct in. I try to avoid that. It sounds flat and just kind of lifeless to me. I don't like doing it direct in. I will mic my amp, which is a Fender Princeton Chorus. Now, as far as effects go, I will do a lot of post processing on the guitar afterwards, but I like to record it clean through the amp. The only thing I don't do in post is if it's got distortion or fuzz on it. So like when I recorded Meant to Hurt, that was just straight out the amp. That had no post processing on it really, except for some EQ. But like binary code, for example, I recorded that riff just clean through the amp with no effects, no pedals, and then I added a shit ton of delay and I'm trying to think what the fuck else was on there. I'm sure there was a flanger or a chorus or something on there as well. Um, but yeah, and then I'm trying to think anything else. I use a Volt. What is this? A Volt 176 interface. It's got the built-in compressor, and then the mic is an AKG C214. And I just got this mic recently. Also, I was using a God, what the fuck was I using? It was a fucking dog shit mic. And before that, I had like a Yeti. It wasn't the Snowball. It was the Blue Yeti, which is also a dog shit mic. This is my first like good mic. Funny thing is, it actually, when I got this mic, I got a Shure. What is it? S- the SM7B, I think it's called. I could be getting the number wrong, but I think that's what it is. It's a really poppin' mic. And a bunch of people were telling me to get that, and I got it, and I fucking hated it. I did not like it, so I got rid of it, and I got this AKG. So, and then as far as speakers, I have Yamaha, the 8-inch Yamahas. So, um, if you have 8-inch Yamahas, all my music is mixed on there, so it sounds the best on those. If you have 8-inch Yamahas, my music sounds great on those. So
The way it was meant to be listened to.
yeah, definitely.
Let's rewind because I remember you telling a story about like your first synth or your first piece of equipment. What was that about?
Oh, so I'm trying to think how old I was. I think it was second grade. It was first or second grade. My it's technically when I first started making music. My one of my neighbors was moving out to California, and he had this absolute dog shit little synth, and he was just kind of giving his shit away. He was giving out skateboards and bikes and just to fucking neighbors just to so he could move. And he gave me this synth, and it was I remember it was a Yamaha. I don't remember exactly what model it was, but you could record up to 5 layers on it, right? So you had 5 layers to record on to make a song with, but that's the only song you could have. So if you want to make a new song, you have to delete the layers that you had. And that keyboard had drum kits, it had bass sounds, it had pretty much everything you needed to make a song. And I would write these little songs on it. Obviously they didn't have any vocals, but I would make these little songs on there, and then I would, if I want to make a new one, you'd delete it, but I would remember every single layer to that song. So if I ever wanted to hear the song again, I had to recreate it from scratch. Fucking play every single fucking layer over again, remember what I was playing. And I could listen to it, and then I'd delete it again, and make another one. So, yeah, that was kind of where it all started, really, was then. So,
Do you think that influenced how you make music now?
I definitely, I couldn't say how, but it, definitely, yeah.
What's your opinion on music theory? Are you into music theory or reading notes or anything like that?
I don't know any fucking music theory at all. Um, and that's the other thing when I work with other artists. Because as of late, I've been working with a lot of other producers more than vocalists. And we work on something. They'll ask me what key the song is in, and I have no fucking idea what key any of my songs. I don't know what key any of my songs are in. And when I play something on guitar or on the synth, I don't know what I'm playing. It's all by ear. I think I have a really good ear. I don't know music theory at all. But I've gotten this far without knowing it, so I don't really think it's that important. I think if you just, I think some people just have that bone in them that's just kind of there for music, and so I have no intention of learning music theory. I enjoy the way I make music now, so
Fair enough. Okay, so I got kind of a follow-up question. Like, what's your advice for other like musical artists, and then maybe like what do you want to be better at in making music?
as far as advice, I don't know. It's kind of hard to give out advice because I'm not that big of an artist yet, but um, definitely I've seen a lot of growth just in the because I've been doing this since middle school. I've been posting music since I was in 8th grade, and it wasn't until like the last year or so that I really started getting streams and people started really liking my music. And to pinpoint what it really was, it was a handful of things. I think as far as like a blatant objective thing that I can tell you to do, if you're on SoundCloud, I think the one of the first easiest things you can do is just buying reposts, honestly. And I've heard other artists say that that's kind of how they got their start. I know Capo has an interview where he said that's kind of where he kind of took off, was also a repost, and I would imagine a lot of other SoundCloud artists are the same way. If you can find an artist that is doing reposts and they kind of have a similar sound to what you're doing, that's kind of just an easy thing I can say. But as far as like once you're past that though, um, it's cliche, but being original is really a big deal, especially now because now with TikTok and Instagram and the you know hundreds of thousands of fuckers on SoundCloud trying to make music, it is just beyond saturated. And you gotta stand out. You gotta stand out somehow. And with me, I think I stand out aesthetically. I do it that way. Um, so man, I'm trying to think of how I can really give advice because I didn't have like a kind of a playbook. There's no guide really. I think that the thing that a lot of people need to realize about music is it is all luck. At the end of the day, it is 100% luck. But the harder that you work, the better that your luck will get. You know, the more opportunities that you take, the you know, the more original you are, the more that you drop. Um, it makes your luck go up. Also, being consistent is huge now. You need to drop, like for me, for a long time, like before Out of Spite, like that kind of time period where I was just dropping shit on SoundCloud. I wanted to do like 3 4 songs a month, like almost a song a week is really what I was shooting for, which is a lot, but that's what I was shooting for. And then once I had that album out, since then I try to not go longer than a month. Once I go longer than a month without dropping something, um, I get a little frustrated, and I want to get something out. Um, because you know, if you now everyone's attention span is just so fucking short. If you drop something, you get some momentum off of it. You need to capitalize on it like immediately, really. You know, because if you don't, that momentum is just gonna die, and you're just gonna be right back at ground zero again. So, being consistent for sure. Um, but yeah, like I think when you kind of step into the ring of making music now in 2024, there's really two ways that you can go about it if you want real success, you know, big success. And you can go the corporate route and you can be as accessible, as generic, as, you know, accessible to labels and to radio and to ads and to whatever as possible. And you can make, you know, the fucking TikToks where you're sitting there, you know, looking like a jackass, making, you know, "Hey, did I just make the song of the summer or whatever the fuck, you know, or, you know, you can do that, you know, or, you know, you can make a complete 180 and just sprint in the other direction and just try to stand out as much as possible. And the thing about TikTok, you know, a lot of people will tell you to use TikTok. I have a bunch of people in like down my fucking throat telling me to use TikTok, and I refuse to do it. Uh, I just, I think a lot of artists that blow up on TikTok, the problem is they will, they'll have something blow up like overnight on TikTok, but then, you know, that's really the extent of their career right there because then they are viewed as a TikTok artist, and that's kind of the last thing that you want because then, you know, the younger crowd is like, oh, well, that's not cool. And, you know, the older people just are fucking annoyed with TikTok, so they don't want anything to do with it. So, you know, it's like, yeah, it's kind of a get rich quick scheme, but it's going to bite you in the ass. So I just, I would avoid using that. I would try to think outside the box, you know, and that's what me and Elijah have been doing with, you know, videos and kind of the imagery with a lot of my music and some of the subject matter. We just try to go outside the box and try to do, you know, things that are different.
Hell yeah. So Elijah, he's kind of like your partner in crime, right? Like making videos and stuff like that. How do you guys collaborate on making like music or videos? And we'll just touch briefly on that because I think we'll talk with him later. But what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so Elijah has been um like my best friend for the last few years. I want to say we met in like 2019. I think it was 2019. And actually I had met his brother first. I was really good friends with his older brother before I was ever friends with Elijah. Um and you know, his older brother is the one that actually taught me pretty much everything that I know about producing, how to use FL, how to record shit, how to, you know, just do. He's a fucking wizard with computers. So, um, you know, everything that I know from Premiere to Photoshop to FL, he's the one who kind of showed me how to use all that. Um, and then it was a little bit later that I started spending time with his little brother, Elijah, and you know, Elijah is always been really tapped into music, into fashion, and you know, to all that. And you know, Elijah would always sit back and watch as me and Austin would make music. And I think finally, when he kind of stepped in and gave his opinion on a lot of things. Um, he really, I really value his opinion, you know, and so we started collaborating on a lot of stuff, and we became really good friends. And the other thing is, we both went through, um, just coincidentally, we both went through a breakup right about the same time, and so that really kind of brought us together, and we spent a lot of time together. And the other thing that I really appreciate about Elijah, and this I can also, I totally forgot about this when you were asking about giving artists advice. This is probably the best advice I can give to any artist, actually. Um, Having yes men in your circle is the fucking worst thing you can have. Like, period. If you are trying to make music, and anytime you make something, like whether it's a song, a video, cover art, it doesn't matter what the fuck it is. If you show your friends, and every time you show them, that you just get the same fucking answer where they're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," or whatever. Yeah, that's cool. That sounds good. You're not gonna get anywhere in life. Even outside of music. I mean, you can take that advice and apply it to anything. Having yes men is just the worst fucking thing. And it's not that your friends don't care. It's just I think a lot of times they're just kind of afraid to hurt your feelings, or they may just not care that much about what you're trying to do. But Elijah, for me, he's the one who, if you like my music now and kind of how hard that I try with my music, you can thank Elijah for that. Because I when I was started making music in Boston before, like, kind of out of spite, um I would make songs and Elijah would be like, yeah, this part sounds boring, or this part sounds like this, or this vocal thing sucks. But at the same time, he'd also be like, what you did in this part was really good. This little synth thing is really cool, And since I held his opinion, in high regard, I would, really take it into consideration, and I would, kind of try to improve on what he thought. Now, I wouldn't make my music the way that he would want it to sound, but I did, you know, the listener is also very important. Everything you make, you always have to put yourself in the shoes of the listener. And so in that way, Elijah's like my personal Rick Rubin in that sense, where I'm always just bouncing shit off of him, and he'll kind of tell me if I have a good idea or a bad idea, you know. And also he does all of my videos. He's my videographer. He's um fucking great with a camera. And aside, because he doesn't make music, but I think everything else, he's really talented at you know visuals, and he has a lot of good ideas. And so, but yeah, but I think we're gonna talk to him when he comes down tomorrow.
For sure, we'll get him. We'll get him on here, and we'll ask him some questions about all that stuff. Okay, so let me ask you a few more questions. What is your most slept on song, would you say?
My most slept on. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I have a lot of slept on songs. I think a lot of the songs that I'm really proud of are the ones that do pretty well, as relative to you know my stats and shit. Um, I would say the things we carry on Operation Wandering Soul was one of my favorites on there, and I think that one has like the least amount of streams on that album. I really like that song a lot. Um, I'm trying to think. Um, I'd have to go look, honestly. Let me pull up my fucking SoundCloud and see. But definitely that one. Oh, Fashion Nova actually will be my answer to that. I really like Fashion Nova. That's probably, I don't know if I would say it's my favorite song, but it's in the running for my favorite song that I've made. I really like that one a lot.
For sure. So I think we were talking about unreleased stuff. You said you had like 300 or something privated video or music tracks or something like that
Well, yeah, on SoundCloud,
on
that's like all
SoundCloud.
old. That's old shit. Yeah, I have a
How
lot of private shit there, but do what?
I was gonna say, how much do you have like that you're about to release or thinking about releasing?
So right now I am working on a project, and I think some people are aware that I just started working with Dream Station. They're it's like a startup label with a bunch of breakcore artists. Um, and so I was introduced to a whole lot of artists through that, like Blacksmith, Vier Cloud, Bleach Bath, who I've already done some cool stuff with. Um, so the album that I'm working on right now, I started working on it pretty much as soon as I finished Operation Wandering Soul. I immediately got to work on the next one. And I've been working on it, and it's gone through I don't know how many fucking I've scrapped and restarted it like 3 times now. Um, and so that's really what I'm working on right now. And as far as features go, I don't want to give too much away, but definitely some more with Bleach Bath. I've been talking with Emma Ibarra, if anyone knows her. Her music's really fucking cool. And then also I've been working on some stuff with VR. So there's gonna be a few more, but I want to give them all away. But yeah, I've been working on that album for the last few months, and so I can
Do we have a expected release date? Anything like that?
well, it keeps getting pushed back. I was planning on doing it in it was actually supposed to come out like October, and then I was like, okay, I'll push it back to December, and then I push it back again. Yeah, and I keep pushing it back. Cause I don't know, I keep meeting new artists and they're like, oh, let's do something. I'm like, oh, this would be great for the album. So it gets pushed back, or I'll listen to it and I'll be like, oh, I don't really, I kind of have a different vision for it. So I'll, scrap some things and or redo some things. And so it's just, I don't know. At this point, it'll come when it comes. I guess I have no fucking idea. But soon, I would like to get it out here in the next, what is it? It's February. I don't know. In the next 2 or 3 months, for sure, I'd like to get it out. But I am. Oh, there's a fucking mosquito in my room. um, what was I saying?
Your
The fuck?
upcoming album you're releasing.
Oh, so, um,
What's it called, by the way?
I don't have a name for it yet. I do have a cover art for it though. I was gonna see if I could send you. I'm trying to find one. I'll play one of them, or one of the ones I'm working on, and we can hear it. Which one do I want to play?
Let me pause this music, and then if you want to play it, then I'll.
We'll do this one. I'll send you this one.
Okay.
I'll send it to you if you want to play that.
1 second as I. So we're now playing the. Turn it down a little bit. Unreleased music by Levi Ryan. Gymclark exclusive.
Turn it back up. Turn it back up.
Turn it back up.
Yeah, I can barely hear it.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah. I'm gonna try to make the whole album a little diverse. Because initially what I wanted was to make, I wanted to make kind of like a witch house album, and then that kind of fell through. And so, but there'll be some shit like Meant to Hurt on there. There'll be some breakcore inspired shit. And there'll definitely be like some, acoustic and guitar shit on there as well. So.
Okay. That's all you get, audience. That's all you get. Just a sneak peek. Okay. Make sure everything's good to go. Awesome. So that's off of your new album, unreleased, no name yet.
No name.
Was that in collaboration with anybody, or was that solo?
That one is solo, but like I said, I do have There'll be some shit with Bleach Bath on there. Some stuff with Fier. Some stuff with Emma on there. Um, maybe some stuff with Blacksmith. We'll see.
Hell yeah.
So,
So let me ask you this: you've done a lot of collaborations recently, or at least you're working on some. It sounds like. How do you feel about collaborating? And you can speak on a little bit about Glowworm and how do you like to collaborate with people?
so for a long time, I was very opposed to it. Like I said, I'm very particular about my music, and it was Elijah initially who was like, "Look, if you want to grow, it'd probably be a good idea to try to find some artists to work with," which was a little difficult for me. Not that I don't like a lot of other artists, but the pool of artists that I had that I could actually reach out to and work with was very small. And then the artists that I'd even want to work with was even smaller. Um, but um, you know, Elijah listened to a lot of Chelsea's music, a lot of Glowworm, and she had actually hit me up to work on some stuff. And when I heard her music, I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely do this. Because the thing with Glowworm was she just put her fucking heart and her soul into everything that she worked on. Um, all of her music, and not only that, but she was a producer. She not every song, but a lot of her songs were self-produced, which is something that um I definitely appreciate. I really, for the most part, I really don't care to work with other artists that are just vocalists. Not that they're not talented, but when it comes to my music, like I said, I'm very particular. And when it comes to the vocals and the verses and the hooks, I really just um I want it to be what I have there. Um, but I like having artists that are producers because if they produce, it means that they really they have that kind of musical drive in them to fucking actually make music. But it also they kind of know how music works. They know how to make a good transition, make a good hook, or if I'm stuck on something, they can really add something valuable um to the song. Like, cause I can sing on all my songs. I don't necessarily need someone else to come and put a hook on one of my songs. Cause it's at that point, a lot of artists just do it for stats. A lot of collabs nowadays are just to get the stats and to get the name on there. And I don't really care to do that. I would like to work with people who I think can bring something to the table that I can't, you know? And that was definitely Chelsea. Not only with her vocals, she had a really cool vocal style, but I would argue she was a better producer, even. I mean, um, like all the songs that we have together, we co-produced. And when I say co-produced, I don't mean like, because I think a lot of artists say they co-produce shit. But we would sit on Discord and literally just from the ground up, like I would have like maybe a synth chord progression, and she'd be like, "Oh, this would be cool in kind of this style. Let me do some percussion on this," and she'd add some really cool percussion. And I'm like, "Okay, we could put like a lead on this. I'll put like some guitar, some synth lead." And that was pretty much every song like that, and also her bass lines. That I swear, she needs to be recognized for her bass lines. She has the most godlike just bass in all of her music, from the notes that they're hitting to the way that they kind of bend and slide around. They're really fucking cool. Um, and so yeah, I started working on music with Chelsea, and even to this day, she's my favorite artist, to work with. You know, so um, but after working with her, I was kind of a little bit more open minded to it, so I started working with other artists. But even then, um, she was still always my favorite artist to work with. And the other thing is she was always on the same page, as far as what the song was about, thematically, lyrically. A lot of artists, when you get features from them, they're just there for a paycheck, and that was not the case with Chelsea. I would kind of explain to her what the song was about, what I was talking about, what experiences I was pulling from, or whatever, and she would really try to get her brain where mine was, and try to really add to it in a meaningful way. So, um, but also, I really like working with Bleach Bath as well. Since I met him through Dream Station, he's really cool. And he's a great producer as well. So like on Fashion Nova that we worked on, he did all of the percussion on there. And he's a fucking god when it comes to doing breakcore chops and sampling. And we have another song coming up on this album where he chopped like I don't know how many different breaks and chopped them together. And um so I really like working with him. But I mean, it's shit like that, because when I worked with Chelsea, she would bring, you know, a really cool bass line, something that I would never think of to do. And the same thing with Bryce, or Bleach Bath. It's my bad, but Bryce Bleach Bath, um, you know, he will do things with drums that I wouldn't even think to do, you know, and that's what I really look for when I work with an artist. If you can bring something to the table that I can't, I don't necessarily care to just have you tack on a verse at the end of my song or whatever. That's not really what I'm looking for.
Awesome. So it sounds like you're going to be doing a lot more collaborations in the near future, or something similar.
Definitely more than I was. Yeah, and also because I'm now, when you start out, it's kind of hard to meet other artists, especially bigger artists. But now that I've kind of grown to where I'm at, and definitely since Dream Station, I've been introduced to a lot of cool people, a lot of cool artists, that that I want to work with, and that they want to work with me. So, and they're all, most of the guys in Dream Station are all producers. So, just collaborating on production, definitely. And what's funny is this is a little unrelated, but it's funny because, all those guys over in Dream Station, they're all, electronic producers and breakcore producers, and most of the music they release over there is a lot of instrumental music. And I kind of stick out like a sore thumb over there because I do, you know, I have vocals, but also kind of the style that I do. Um, and it's funny because when I started working with Chelsea, I think a lot of people kind of see me and Chelsea were very much like a duo. I think a lot of people see us as a duo, and so I kind of and she was in completely different scene of music than the electronic breakcore scene. Um, and so I kind of I don't know. I just think it's funny that I am now kind of a part of two very different scenes, and um,
You bridge
I
the
think
gap. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
I think yeah, I think depending on the listener, they kind of associate me with some people will associate me with the SoundCloud rap, hyperpop. I don't know what you'd fucking call it, but that scene over there, and then some people kind of associate me with the that electronic producer scene. So it's just kind of funny.
That is funny. So this is kind of turning different direction. What have you ever done any live shows, or do you plan on doing any live shows?
Um, I have not. Okay, well, actually, there's a lie. I had my friend Noah. He's in the band Grave Dweller. I don't know if anyone's. I'm sure there's definitely people that have actually heard of Grave Dweller. Um, if you know the song "Close to You" by on Out of Spite, he helped me with a lot of the guitar on there. But we were all. It was me, Elijah, Austin, and my friend Kyle and Noah. We all lived in San Marcos, and we wanted to throw a house show, and we did. And Elijah and Noah went all around San Marcos, putting up these fucking flyers. And I think we were expecting like, 20, 30 fucking people. Like, no, there was like, there had to have been 100, 150 people crammed in this apartment, out the fucking door, in the fucking hallway. And we had a handful of like local rappers, and I was supposed to play, but the cops came and shut it down, so that didn't happen. But beyond that, no, I haven't played a live show. Um, I think in the future, I definitely will. It's really not something that I've put a whole lot of thought into. It's not really a huge priority for me right now. When I started making music, I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to make music. It's not that I never wanted to perform or I never wanted to do, the merch or the videos or whatever. I enjoy all that. It was just never really a priority for me. So, but I think definitely in the future, there will be some. I'll do some live shows. It's got to be the right, right time, right place, and with the right artist. So,
For sure. Okay, so let me ask you this: have you had any crazy fan interactions, and who would you consider your biggest supporters right now?
well, my biggest supporter is definitely Elijah. So, um, he's like my fucking brother. Like, actually, I consider him. I have my real brother, and then I have Elijah. He's like family. So, that's easy. Definitely Elijah. And then what was the other part of the
Like
question?
any crazy fan interactions, like good things, bad things, like anything like that.
In person, no. But I do get some people that are a little, they get a little fanatic about me, and they will blow up my DMs, and they'll send me some weird shit. I do get a little bit of that. I also get people re-uploading my music, which I don't mind if people want to re-upload, remix, do whatever the fuck with my music. I will never copyright it or take it down. People can do whatever the fuck they want with my music. Um, but I do a lot of the songs that I deleted and that I privated. I don't know how the fuck some of these people are finding some of my old music, but they're posting it on YouTube and SoundCloud and shit. Um, I wouldn't say it doesn't make me mad, but it's just like I don't know how the fuck they're getting this shit because I scrubbed this shit. It should be gone. I really don't like some of my old music. So, but I guess if other people like it, then I guess I don't fucking care. If they want to re-upload it.
For sure. Okay, so this is a question about the future. So where do you see yourself in like let's say a year, for example? Either when it comes to like making music or your growth as a streamer, anything like that. Like what do you see yourself?
Um, I don't really know. I think I would like to be able to have a career and support myself, pay all my bills with off of just music. I think my biggest goal with music is really just to kind of bring something new to the table, have some kind of influence on um not only what's acceptable visually and aesthetically, but also kind of I don't know, just have some kind of influence on the music scene in some way, whether it be sonically or maybe people think about lyrics differently or they think about aesthetics differently. I would say that's probably my biggest goal really is to just have that kind of impact. Um, Now in the future, um, we'll we'll get more into this with Elijah. There's some other shit that we have a lot of shit planned, but I love movies. I love film. Anything having to do with movies and film. Um, eventually someday I would love to score like a movie or a TV show or even a fucking video game. I just if anyone's working on a movie or a game, just fucking hit me up. That's something I would like to do in the future. Um, and then also at some point get into film. But we'll get into that with Elijah.
For sure. Speaking of hobbies, what kind of hobbies do you have besides making music?
Um, well, I'm fucking obsessed with movies, so just when I say recently, I'd say like a year and a half ago. No, maybe more like 2 years ago. I started collecting original theater used movie posters, so like the ones that were actually in the theater when that
Wow.
movie was released. So I have a huge collection of those, and I've been collecting those. And um, the biggest problem with those is they are an absolute bitch and a half to frame because a lot of those posters are like weird sizes, so you can't fucking frame them from like frames from Target or Walmart. You gotta get them like custom framed, or you have to order um like specific frames for old movie posters. So I'd say that and also photography. I think a lot of people that follow me on Instagram can probably tell I'm super into photography. I actually just shot Blacksmith just had a show in Houston. And I was invited to go and shoot that show. I was on stage shooting that, which was a lot of fun. Um, photography is something I would love to pursue. It's just, but with music, it's just I don't have fucking time for it, you know. Um, and then outside of music and movies, I'm really into cars. I mean, when I was coming out of high school, I had no fucking idea what I wanted to do with my life. Um, I you know I've always made music, and I know I wanted to do something with music, but I never thought it was like a realistic thing to do. And I was actually in college to be a um automotive technician, and so that's what I was doing. I eventually dropped out, but I was working at a dealership. But I love cars. I've owned a handful of old cars, mostly trucks. I like American trucks. It's really funny because people, when I say I'm into cars, I think people just assume I'm into like JDM or sports cars and shit, and then they see that I drive like big ass trucks. Um, but I'm definitely that's kind of the Texan in me, I guess. I like big fucking trucks. I drive a 1996 Bronco, like the full size OJ Bronco. Um, Before that, I had a 1989 Jeep YJ, and then I also had a 1987 IROC Z Camaro. Um, and at one point, I actually had a 1980 Bronco as well. But I've sold all those. Actually, my Camaro was stolen. So, yeah, the car was fucking stolen, which I'm pissed off about. But yeah, I love cars. I fucking love cars. I think the more money that I make, the more cars I'll own. But it'll just be like old fucking trucks and weird shit. Like I like weird shit when it comes to cars, bro. Like I like old Jeeps, old military vehicles. I love those. Like the old Dodges that they used in World War II, like the trucks and the old Jeep, the MBs that they had in like the Korean War and um weird Jeeps like the Jeep Ford Control, like these weird tractor looking things. I don't know. I like weird old trucks um when it comes to cars. Um but yeah, I would say those are really my three biggest interests.
Hell yeah.
I'm also into, I would say history also. I'm a kind of a history nerd. Uh Also a little more specifically like a World War II nerd, but we don't have to get into that. I think if you listen to my music, you can there's a lot of history and war references that I think it goes over most people's heads, but I think some people pick up on it. It was a lot more blatant, I think, with Operation Wandering Soul with all the war and military references. But even before that, there's some references to shit. But um,
Wow. Do you post your lyrics on your songs, or you just had to kind of figure it out?
I'm really bad at posting lyrics. I just honestly I just forget. So the ones that I do remember are up. Um, on Spotify, I have like the ones that are important. So I think, all the ones on Operation Wandering Soul, Valium. I actually had Spotify took down some of my fucking lyrics, and I don't know why. They took down my lyrics for Nuclear Sub, and then for I think Fashion Nova, and then like one other song also. I don't know why. Like they took them down.
Hmm.
Um, but SoundCloud, most of the songs should have their lyrics in the description, and then I'll have people that like DM me about fucking lyrics, and I'll be like, they should be in the SoundCloud description, and then they're like, oh, well, they're not there, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't, I just fucking forgot, so I'll just go do it.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, I think we're wrapping up on questions. Let me ask you. So you said you're with a, sorry, Dream Station, right?
Yeah.
Are you with any other collectives or groups or anything like that?
No, not really. No.
Do you intend to, or you have any plans for that?
No, hell no. Like I said, I'm not good at working as part of a group. So I think the other thing is I would never. signed to like a big label, I think mainly because I don't think a label would let me get away with a lot of what I get away with. I think I've had a handful of people that really pick up on certain things in my music, whether it be like some image or some sample in there. Um, I think some people will look at them and be like, "Oh, that's kind of gross," or "That's whatever." But I think only a handful of people know exactly where some of these things are from. I wouldn't say I'd get canceled, but I definitely don't think a label would let me get away with some of the shit that I get away with, especially on Operation Wandering Soul. So
Interesting. I'm sure the sleuths are gonna go find out what it is. They're gonna get you.
yeah, by all means, go fucking dig. And even like the Meant to Hurt video, like I mean, I don't know that a label would let that slide. I mean, we were actually we made that we were fully expect. I was ready to have that video get age restricted. I really thought it was gonna get age restricted, and before we posted, we were like, should we like blur some of this shit out? And then I was like, no, fuck it, let's just send it. So, but it hasn't gotten age restricted yet, so
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay,
I think it's
so
I think it's because of the CRT. I think it's just so fucking fried. I think the video's so fried, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. So
you think like the AI that reviews the video probably can't even see what it's looking
yeah,
at?
that's what I'm saying. I think it's just hard to tell what the fuck you're even looking at half the time in that video. So
Hell yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an open floor, and this is kind of your time for like message to the fans or anything you want to talk about. So go ahead. This is your time.
well, I guess first of all, I'd like to thank everyone that actually listens to my music. I'm really bad at responding to DMs. I was literally telling you before we started this how I'm not very social. So, all the people that comment on my shit or DM me, like, I see most of the comments, and I really appreciate all of that, and it means the fucking world to me that people actually listen to my shit. And then, um, I guess secondly, I do have, I'm working on an album. It'll be out soon. Um, just give it a few months. And then lastly, I would like to say, rest in peace to Chelsea. Um, she was probably the most talented person I ever got to meet. Um, you know, so it just the whole situation just sucks all the way around. But I think I'll tell everyone what I told um her friends and her girlfriend. A lot of people, they live their life on this earth and they die and they leave and they don't leave any kind of impact. And I think in the short time that Chelsea was here, she had a huge impact on a lot of people, and she left us a lot of great music. So yeah.
For sure. Rest in peace. I'm gonna plug the YouTube and everything else, and then you'll get the last word, and then we will close the stream down. All right, here we go. Hit the YouTube subscribe button, hit the Instagram follow button, hit the Twitch follow button. Go check out the bio for the artist information. You know what to do, and take it away, Levi Ryan.
Go fucking subscribe. Go like the fucking video. Bro, has anyone ever told you that you look like a fucking Tekken character?
Well, I've heard a few things. I've heard Metal
was-
Gear
I
Solid.
I was thinking about that before that fucking the video. Sorry, me and my friend were talking about Tekken, and I was getting ready for this, and I was like, bro, Clark's kind of like a fucking Tekken character, honestly.
I'll take it. Is that it?
That's all I gotta say. Yeah, I got nothing else to say.
All right, that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye.